Welcome back. Marketing can be the most confusing thing in the world for creatives. Some marketing is easy for creatives, like designing things especially. We love pretty colors, but when it comes to the technical drudgery of Facebook and Instagram ads, many creatives start to go cross-eyed. Luckily, there's not a lot you can screw up about a Facebook ad campaign, and if you know 3 or 4 things really well, the rest doesn't matter a whole lot. One of the most important things to do well in a Facebook or Instagram campaign is targeting. I can have the right message, the right video, the right song, the right offer, all that's great, but if I'm showing all of that to the wrong person, none of it matters. Now, if I've got the exact right person and the right offer, the right content, I could have a crappy pitch, I could use like 10,000 flame emojis and it just wouldn't matter. My name is Circa, and 2 years ago, I started a music marketing agency that hasn't burst into flames yet, so I know a thing or two about targeted advertising for creatives. In this tutorial, I'm gonna show you how we do audience targeting for our clients so you don't have to curse Facebook and Instagram ads anymore. You can make all the other bands or artists in your scene jealous, just kicking the dirt and be like, man, Facebook ads, bing, bing, bing. So let's roll the intro and get into it. And start sending to them on that basis. In MailChimp, when starting any email, before we get started, make sure to click that subscribe button and ring the bell because we drop new tutorials and gear reviews 3 times a week and you don't want to miss a thing. We cover a lot, so just click it, okay? Now, if you want to get better at targeting, you need to understand there's 2 types of targeting. The first is cold audience targeting, so trying to find people who have never heard of you to become your fan or your customer. And the second type of targeting is warm audience targeting or retargeting. In Facebook and Instagram, these are called custom audiences, and we did a video on this topic, which I'll put the link to up here. But retargeting is serving an ad to someone who has already done something with you. Maybe they watched a video, maybe they're on your email list, anything like that, that's a warm audience. Every ad makes some kind of offer. The offer might be as simple as just watch this video, but it might be much heavier, like buy this product. Cold audiences get free offers because they've never heard of you before. So you need something with a low barrier to entry, like watch some content, read an article, sign up for a freebie, that sort of thing. This is what we call the top of the funnel. It's where you want to rule out the people who aren't right for your brand and your content, but you don't want to scare anyone away who may be the right person with some kind of more heavy offer that they're not ready for yet. Now, warm audiences can get offers that cost money. They've already been warmed up by your content and they dig what you're doing, so they're ready for it. If you're making some kind of sales offer, you want to be retargeting, not targeting. But if you have a free offer, like you're just trying to promote some content and find some new fans, you're doing cold targeting. So you have to analyze the content and try to figure out who would like it. You can use demographic targeting like age, gender, location, but that's kid stuff. It's very basic and it doesn't get at the root of who's looking for your type of content. The real sauce is in psychographic interest targeting. You probably know them as interests. There are all types of targetable interests, from soccer to Lady Gaga to 80s movies. If you're a musician and you want to promote your music video and hopefully get some new listeners and fans in the process, your best bet is to figure out what other artists the song you're trying to promote sounds like. Since more famous artists are already targetable in Facebook and Instagram, you build out your targeting around these interests. Okay, great. So you just throw all the interests that your content is like into an audience and call it a day, right? Absolutely not. This is where we see a lot of creatives making the big mistake of not testing their different spheres of similarity. I'm a singer, right? And I take inspiration from Otis Redding, Sam Cooke, and Lord, I just need a woman. But also the Misfits, also Bright Eyes, also Louis Prima and the Counting Crows. Goddamn, you have Japanese girl. These artists are all way different from each other. They have different followings, and the audiences they represent in Facebook and Instagram are way different. Now, Facebook as an ad platform is also way smart. It's like smarter than the kid who sat at the front of the class. And if you throw all that targeting at it, it's still gonna be able to chew through that 30 million person audience and find the right people. The problem is that just like the kid who sat at the front of the class, Facebook isn't going to give you all those answers. That's gonna violate privacy laws. Then Congress will have to drag Zuckerberg back in to explain how the internet works. It'll be a big mess. So if you just throw all your interests into one big audience and let Facebook do the rest, you're not gonna know anything about who your best performing targets are. If your ad campaign does really well, you can't go and take those best performing targets and use them to find more. And if it sucks, you're not gonna have any idea why. And if it does kinda okay, you're gonna be like, shit, what do I change to make it perform better? I have no idea. You don't want 3 million people who are completely different from 3 million other people in the same audience. You want tightly grouped audiences of highly similar people so that you can test each one, find the one that works best, and then scale that up. So you need to break down the interests that are like your content. If you sound a little bit like Death Cab and a little bit like Boys to Men, you need to do more. Those audiences are nothing like each other. So we're gonna pull up two tools here. The first tool is Facebook Audience Insights, which you can find by going to business.facebook.com, logging in and clicking the top left menu. This tool allows us to look at data from the 2 billion Facebook users to find correlations between interests. More on that in a moment. The second tool is one we developed for our agency specialists that we call the targeting cheat sheet. This PDF file just allows us to organize our research in one place and define our groups of interests. The first step in this process is to get down what we call seed interests. We take the piece of content we're marketing, in this case, let's say it's my music video, and we get 2 sets of 7 artists. The first set comes from me because duh, nobody knows my super unique butterfly snowflake voice like me. And the second set comes from random strangers. We ask what the song sounds like because I'm a narcissistic idiot with a confirmation bias and I can't be trusted to give you unbiased information about what I sound like. Once we have 14 seed interests, 7 biased, 7 unbiased, we then do our research. So I think I sound like Otis Redding. Here I see a bunch of demographic info about the people in Facebook's data who like Otis Redding. I'm probably in here actually, but if I click on page likes, I can see a bunch of info about what other pages Otis Redding fans like. And this is where the gold is. On the right here, we see this affinity score. This tells us how much more likely Otis Redding fans are to be interested in this thing than the average Facebook user. So here it says that Otis Redding fans in the US on Facebook are 475 times as likely to like Sam Cooke than the average person on Facebook. So Sam Cooke and Otis Redding are very closely related. Now I have Sam Cooke and Otis Redding in my seed artists, so I can now group them together safely. I know for a fact that they're closely related. But here I see that Sam Cooke has an audience of 753,000 on Facebook, and the overlap between Sam Cooke and Otis Redding is only 68,000. So I'm gonna add like 680,000 people to my audience who are very much like the people I was already planning on targeting, but they're just not in that audience. So I'm creating a much larger audience, but they're all very closely grouped, which is what we want. So I'm gonna record down the 7 artists with the highest affinity score in this list into my targeting cheat sheet. I've got Sam Cooke, Sly and the Family Stone, Curtis Mayfield, Smokey Robinson, Bootsy Collins, the Isley Brothers, and George Clinton and P-Funk. Now, if I create an audience with Otis Redding and these 7 artists as the grouped interests, it's gonna be way better than if I was targeting Otis Redding and the Misfits in the same friggin' audience. Now, I've got 13 more artists to do research on before I can create my audiences. That's how our cheat sheet works. We try to spin off at least 14 groups of audiences, if not more than that. So I'm gonna speed through that part. Bam, now I've got 14 tightly grouped audiences that I can test against each other. And this is where the benefit comes. I can test each of these audiences at $5 a day, spending $70 and get the absolute best targeting out of 1 or 2 of them. And on average, the top 2 audiences perform at 1/5 the cost of the worst 2 audiences. Sometimes it's like 1/20th. So I just saved myself a crap ton of money by not running this campaign on all these losing audiences for more than a day. But Facebook would have done that anyways, right? It would have optimized down to just the right people, but I wouldn't have known. And the real magic comes from knowing who the top 1 or 2 audience interest groups are. By knowing that, I can take these interests back to audience insights and get what we call horizontal scale. By turning each secondary interest or artist into a seed interest and researching with audience insights, I can find hundreds of other interests that my exact best audience might be into. So I might add in more interest from Otis Redding, like the Temptations, Al Green, the Commodores. But I might also spin it off and put in one of Otis Redding's related artists like Sam Cooke and find other related things to Sam Cooke, like Bobby Womack, the Four Tops. These weren't in the Otis Redding Audience Insights research. I'm finding them with that horizontal scaling strategy, adding more and more people to the audience who are very much like the exact right people. When you're just starting out building your fan base, you don't have much data to go on, so you gotta use targeting like this until you really start gaining momentum. Once you have a sizable warm audience, you can actually use them to create your targeting for you, and we'll talk about that in next week's video. But until you get that warm audience, you gotta start cold, and this is a way more efficient method of doing it. If you'd like to download the targeting worksheet and run this process for yourself, you can do that in the link in the description, and I'll put it on the screen too for you right here. And if you like this video, make sure to let YouTube know that and click subscribe and ring the bell, because next week we'll be going over those lookalike audiences that you build from your warm audiences. And if you dug this, you're gonna wanna see that. If you're using Facebook and Instagram ads to market your creativity, I promise you that by using this method, you're going to up your game significantly. With that said, I've been Circa for Full Stack Creative. This has been Tiny Toots, and I'll see you next time for another Tiny Toot.